So, what happens if you don't file your taxes but you don't actually owe anything? Uh, do you get that refund? Do you get penalized? That's what Island Girl 1793 is wondering about. Island Girl says, "Hi, Logan. I haven't filed my taxes in 5 years from 2020 to 2023. I did file my 2024 taxes, getting a refund, $339. Paid H&R Block $198. Anyway, I'm going backward, filing all my late taxes just to be in good standing with the IRS. I know 2020 and 2021 won't get a refund." That's correct. Why? Because you have 3 years from the due date of the return to file that return and get a refund. Now, that includes extensions. So, Island Girl, if you filed an extension for 2021, right, that means the due date for the 2021 return was October 15th, 2022. 3 months from October 15th, or 3 years from October 15th, 2022. October 15th, 2025, which is still in the future at this point as I'm recording this. So something to keep in mind. But anyway, I know 2020 and 2021 won't get a refund, my fault. But H&R Blog told me I may get a refund for 22 and 23, but not much. Okay, fair. I've never owed or paid taxes to IRS, always gotten a refund. My question to you is, I haven't filed extension for the years 2020 to 2023. Will I get penalized? And the answer, Island Girl, is no. You will not get penalized because the penalty of failure to file and failure to pay is based on the tax due shown on the return. And if there's no tax due shown on the return because you don't owe anything or you're in a refund position, then there's no penalty. Or more technically, the penalty is zero. So you don't have to worry about it. Okay? So what happens if you don't? So in summary, what happens if you don't file taxes but you don't owe anything? In terms of penalties, nothing. You don't get hit with a penalty. Right? Because the failure to file penalty is 5% of the amount owed shown on the return for every month or part of a month you don't file to 25%. Right? So if it's 5% of zero is zero. Right? So if there's no amount due shown on the return that you owe the IRS, there's no failure to file penalty. No failure to pay penalty either because you don't owe anything to the IRS. Okay, the worst thing that can happen to you from a tax perspective. Now, there's other ramifications consequences for not filing your taxes. I've covered those in another video. Link to that video at the top of the screen. But just from a tax perspective, the only bad thing that could possibly happen if you don't file your taxes, but you don't owe anything, or more precisely, the IRS owes you money, is you might lose that, or you will absolutely lose that refund if you don't file that return within 3 years of the original due date of the return, or within 3 years of the extended due date of the return if you did file and get a valid extension for that year. Okay, so Island Girl, you really have nothing to worry about here. If you've always gotten a refund, you've always been sufficiently paid in, no penalties. Okay, at least in terms of failure to file, failure to pay. Okay, which is what we're talking about here. Obviously, if you have an FBAR filing requirement or something like that, that's a different story. Okay, but we're talking about run-of-the-mill failure to file, failure to pay penalties, the two most common penalties that the IRS dishes out, and that would possibly apply to the majority of people who are behind on their tax return filing who tune into this channel every week. Thank you for doing so. Now, if this is you folks, if you have not filed your taxes in several years, if you've gotten behind, you've fallen off that bandwagon, you qualify for a free consultation with us here at Choice Tax Relief. Pick up the phone, give us a call, 866-8000-TAX. That's 866-8000-829. Or you could go to choicetaxrelief.com, fill out the form on the website, and we will reach out to you. I have some other videos about unfiled tax returns and back tax returns and how to approach that situation here on the side of the screen. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.